Today I'm going to be reading for you my story, The Perfect Bridge, which appeared in Across the Universe Tales of the Alternate Beatles. I hope you'll enjoy. My wife was wisely steering clear of my home office. She'd learned to read my mood based on the music I have on. It's the opposite of what you'd think. When I was blasting heavy metal, it's safe. Today I was playing all Beatles all the time. Worse yet for her or anyone else who might interrupt, I was playing the early stuff. Cheerful, light, genteel. I was perhaps an hour away from my goal and just a few more strategic fixes to the code. Some idiot at work had insisted on calling this module the yellow subroutine. I thought of it as the note that goes on forever. Ironically, both those references went with songs that weren't on the album on my turntable. Didn't matter. I was in the groove, and the bugs were falling away. Phone rang just as I finished the last keystroke of the last change. It was Bill, my boss. I told him I'd be on site as fast as traffic would allow. While I did write the final bits, my team got me to that point. I couldn't be selfish and run the application without them present. I hung up with Bill so he could start making the phone calls to assemble the rest of the group, and so I could get on the road. Wifey grunted goodbye as I passed her on my way out the door. That's what we had now. Merest pretense of conversation. It didn't matter. I'd be in Bill's office soon. The code would work. It had to work. Once I had the promotion, I'd treat myself to a divorce. 6 of us sat in the room as I spun up the overclocked VAX and started the full application running. In that moment, as the drives and fans whirred, a bridge opened. My boss and I looked at the rest of the team, all of us together right here in good old 1978. The Beatles, all 4 of them, sat in a hotel room in London in 1967. 11 years and a large number of miles stood between us. I could hear the sound of the ice one of the Fab Four had just dropped into a glass. We couldn't see them, nor they us, but we could hear each other. The time and date we bridged to was carefully selected. The party they'd been at was well documented. We knew the Beatles would be exactly high enough. Any more, and they'd be useless to Bill. Any less, and they might question what's going on. We needed them open-minded, but not empty-headed. I can hear you, you know, John said. Best to come out. And if you happen to have some sandwiches, we might forgive the lurking, Paul said. We could hear them stirring themselves to search for us, but it was a wasted effort by wasted musicians. We never would be found. Still, the band was on the hunt, and my boss was trying hard not to giggle with glee. We are from the future, I said. It was stupid, but I didn't write the script. The future? I might want to live there one day, Ringo said. Is it nice? It has its moments, I said, going off book. I wrote the critical code to make this happen. I think I earned the right to wing it. The look my boss gave me made it clear he disagreed. So, flying cars, world peace, George asked. Stick to the important questions. Are we still famous, Ringo asked. We need a favor. Well, my boss needs a favor, I said. Can't let the man keep you down. Unless he's got some spare sandwiches. I'd give 2 of Ringo's fingers for a sandwich. Any 2, Paul said. How much, Ringo asked. How much what, I asked. How much to call the past? I called a bird in America yesterday, and they charged a lot, Ringo explained. I would expect that this would be more. The other Beatles giggled. My boss winced like he'd been hit. I knew what he was thinking. They might be too far gone to remember the conversation. He needed them to listen, to remember, and to believe. I have a business deal for you. It's a way to ensure the longevity of your fame, I lied. Not to worry. John told them we're bigger than God. No one's going to forget that, Paul said. I said more popular than Jesus. If you're going to quote me, get it right. There's enough wankers out there getting it wrong without me mates doing it, John said. Sometime soon, you're going to form your own record label. We need you to pick a very specific name for it. Do that, and my boss, who's a very powerful man in the future, do his part to preserve your legacy, I explained. One of the beetles started snoring. We didn't know which one. I pressed on. It was all I could do. Call your label Apple and we have a deal, I said. The digital vacs we were running let out a tiny belch of noxious smoke and the system spun down. We'd blown the CPU. Connection was dead. We sat in the sudden quiet, no sound from the computer nor from the hotel room. I'd asked, but they didn't get a chance to answer. It was possible they hadn't heard us. Only one way to find out. We nervously looked over at Bill's record collection. I carefully took one off the shelf and looked it over. The label said Fruitful Records. We'd failed. I let out a long, slow breath. It said Apple. Apple Records. There you go, Bill said. That'll screw that damn Steve Jobs. Meanwhile, back in the hotel room. So what do we do? George asked as he nudged Ringo awake. Easy, Paul said. We change the name to Apple. Then we hedge our bets. We start investing in every company called Apple that comes up. Probably just the American companies. Our mysterious friend sounded American, John pointed out. Makes sense, George said, although they sounded uncertain. Invest just enough that we can keep tabs on them, Paul offered. Maybe get half a dozen lawsuits out of it. This works. I guess we owe it to a little help from our friends, Ringo said. And that was Perfect Bridge from Across the Universe, Tales of the Alternate Beatles. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you pick up a copy of the book.